Welcome to the podcast of All Means All. In this episode, Miriam Cuccu, Heidrun Demo, Vana Chiou and Özge Özdemir will talk about cooperative learning.
What is cooperative learning?
When we talk about cooperative learning, we refer not only to a specific method of teaching learning, but also to a wide educational movement, which applies specific method and techniques of cooperation in the classroom for the learning process. One of the key points is the change of authority in the classroom, because the teacher need to delegate parts of one's own authority and the exercise of the control in the classroom in favor of multiple learning centers. We want to outline that it doesn't mean that there's no differences of power between students and teachers, because the most important thing is that the teacher find a more constructive way to use this power to promote a democratic learning environment and to make more responsible the students. So we move toward a learning process in which the knowledge is a research process and in which the students play a more active role. They are critical researchers together with the teachers, that is also a learner and a critical researcher. So the teacher is thus called to move in an educational space of higher complexity, in which the relationship is a really important variable of learning. In this way, teacher is not the only one resource of knowledge, but teacher supports students to be more active and more responsible, so students can achieve motivational, emotional and cognitive goals. And what distinguishes cooperative learning from simple group work?
Well, we are not the first ones who try to give an answer to that question. In literature, we have two very famous authors, Johnson and Johnson, that identified 5 principles that can help to understand when a work group is really leading to learning in a cooperative manner. The first principle is positive interdependence. Here we describe the situation where students depend from each other in the sense that they really can feel that the work they are doing together is more than what they would reach alone. And at the same time, everyone feels really necessary for this group working. The second principle is about group and individual accessibility. So it's about the responsibility each member has for the group and at the same time has for their own learning process. We call it accountability because it can sometimes be useful to measure this commitment to the own learning and to the group learning. The third principle is face-to-face promoting interaction. This means that when we see cooperative learning, we really see students working together. It's not like a chain work with single steps done by single students that are then assembled in one. It's really students sharing materials, encouraging each other, helping, offering support, discussing, co-constructing knowledge. And in order to do that, this is the fourth principle, we need students to learn, sometimes in a really very systematic manner, interpersonal skills, so that they are ready to communicate to each other, to stay in this collaborative situation. For example, they need to learn how to listen to each other, but they also need to learn how to do a constructive critique. They have to learn how to find joint decisions. This is why it is important that when we practice cooperative learning, a specific stress is on these social skills. And the last principle, the fifth one, is about group processing. Here the group goes on a metacognitive level. The group reflects on their own learning process, looking both at how they are managing with the content-related task of the group work, but also looking at the way they are maintaining the relationship and collaboration.
Vana, what do students learn from cooperative learning?
Through cooperative learning, students learn a wide range of social, emotional and cognitive skills. When students work together, they learn to listen to different ideas. They recognize that different classmates may have different or same ideas, different or same feelings from the same or different issues. They respect diversity in that case and respect diverse ideas in their classrooms. Furthermore, cooperative learning promotes positive relationships and social interactions among students. They learn to exchange ideas. Students also learn to offer their own suggestions and defend their opinions. In that way, they also develop interpersonal skills. Furthermore, they recognize their own feelings and how they may influence their own behavior. In other words, they develop self-awareness. When they work in groups, students develop high-level thinking and problem-solving thinking as well when working on demanding and challenging tasks. They also enhance their rule-based thinking during cooperative learning. So, Özge, which is the contribution of successful cooperative learning to an inclusive classroom?
It's very crucial for cooperative learning that you have some practice of participation in the classroom and also valuing diversity. So students work through cooperative learning. They work together collaboratively in the classroom. And it's very important that they can participate in an equal way, so their voices are heard equally and also equally respected in the classroom. It's also very important that they learn through cooperative learning how to negotiate or also how to discuss on different topics or subjects. And even though there's different opinions about a topic or a subject, that they learn how to discuss this and come to a common ground or to finish the exercise. Cooperative learning is affecting a lot the classroom and also supporting a democratic environment, to build a democratic environment in this case. So through that, cooperative learning helps to build a democratic environment in the classroom.
How would you describe the role of the teacher in a successful cooperative learning for all?
It's very important for teachers that they know that they are designers and organizers of the classroom as well as of the class itself, of the lesson. It's also very important that they know they are a facilitator and also a moderator. So in terms of discussions, maybe they have to intervene to make the discussion more successful or also to contribute in the way that every student can participate in an equal way to the discussion. They are also a consultant, so in different situations, depending on the subject or the topic, they may give some advices to the students or they may share their knowledge. But they are also role models, and this is a very important role of the teachers, that they, the things they teach the students or also they want the students to do, they should also do the same. So their advices should be coherent with their own activities actually. It's very important that they should be also aware of the diversity of the classroom. So they should be aware of the different experiences of the students and also of the fact that students can be affected of intersectional discrimination, which means that a student may be affected by more than one kind of discrimination. Miriam, how would you describe the role of the students in a successful cooperative learning for all?
The role of the student has specific aspects, because in a cooperative learning, the student is not only responsible for the individual work, but also for the work of the other. It means that they help and encourage each other, because in this way everyone can complete the task. So it means that students are more autonomous, because they are really protagonists in the co-construction of the knowledge, because it's a more active process in which they are involved together with the teacher. So in a cooperative learning group, we have specific characteristics. First of all, not only one participant is a leader, because the leadership is shared among members, and also the members can play different roles during the process. It means that students are interested not only on the result, the final result, but also on promoting a positive environment of relationship among peers. So students can exchange materials, knowledges and resources among peers. In a cooperative group, students care about weaknesses and difficulties of peers, because they really know that everyone's contribution is necessary and important. So we also want to outline that the help of the other member of the group is not a substitute of one's own effort, but is just a support in order to students can deal responsibly what they need to do. Also, in a cooperative group, the communication is most direct and open, and the students learn how to manage conflicts, and they also learn how to seek common decisions.
What should a teacher have in mind for a successful cooperative learning?
Teachers should have a lot of things in their minds if they want to promote the successful cooperative learning. First of all, they should plan the objectives of the learning unit. They should write precise objectives based on what their students want to learn and accomplish by the end of the learning unit. Second, it's very important the teachers to have the knowledge of a wide range of cooperative strategies and to be flexible and able to change them if it needed based on the needs of their students' interests and the objectives they have set out. Indicatively, some of them could be the jigsaw, think per se, number heads together, as well as peer tutoring and many others that can be found in literature. So, teachers, it's very important to design the assessment before the learning unit based on the objectives they have right and the content of their lesson. It's important also to promote self-assessment and peer assessment during the whole lesson from the start till the end, also based on the content of the lesson. Materials and means should also be organized from the start of the lesson based on the needs of their students, their interests, different background, and the objectives of the unit. Teachers should have in mind the time that it is needed for every part of the assignments and to organize it before in order to promote effectively the cooperation among the classmates in their classroom. Space is also an important factor that may affect the cooperation among students. It's important it's not only a matter of arranging or rearranging chairs and furniture in the classroom. It's important to arrange the classroom layout and the furniture taking into account light or fresh air. This is very important in order to promote effectively the cooperation among students in the classroom and to help them have face-to-face interactions and to hear to listen to their ideas and see each other. So it's very important the space to be arranged before the lesson in order not to lose much time during the lesson, or if the time is adequate, to do it with students in order to be engaged in the whole process of cooperation. So, Heidrun, which elements contribute to ensure equal participation of diverse students?
Well, the first thing I would like to say is that it is a big issue. It's really a challenge, and so it needs to be understood as a learning process for the group and for the teachers themselves. But there are some strategies that teachers can use in order to try to facilitate this equal participation. A first strategy is grouping, so thinking very well how you want students to work together and how the groups are composed. If you leave it to the students, they will probably reproduce the spontaneous relationship network they have in the classroom. So you will have very popular students that are chosen a lot, and on the other side, students that are left out, maybe even excluded. So what we suggest is that teachers have this grouping process in their hands and they organize it. It could be through random processes, for example, giving colored papers, one to each student, and then students with the same color meet in one group. But it could also be really precisely designed by the teachers that thinks of who should work with whom. And in doing that, the teacher could think of building heterogeneous or homogeneous groups according to different criteria. For example, it could be interesting to have homogeneous groups related to different interests, so that some students can focus on a certain competence, but looking at a subject they are interested in. Another way could be to have very heterogeneous groups, and usually this is useful when you have more complex assignments, so where you need more resources to be put in, and diverse students can contribute to that. One thing we would like to outline, there are many schools that practice homogeneous group on a stable basis and based on academic achievement. This kind of grouping is very risky because it is strongly connected with stigmatization processes. So we would highly recommend not to use that kind of grouping. A second possible strategy to facilitate equal participation is to anticipate diversity. This means you try to think of assignments that are the same for the class, but at the same time imply the fact that different students and different groups can activate multiple ways of learning within this assignment. This means, for example, that you can present the result of your group both with a simple visualization or with a simple oral presentation, depending on the preferences. Another important aspect in anticipating diversity is the idea of getting access to multiple and flexible materials. So, for example, you can learn new information, the same information, by means of a video or of a text. And again, students choose according to preferences. A third strategy you can use in order to facilitate equal participation is the assignment of specific roles to the single students working in the group. What does it mean? If you leave it again to students, they will probably act in the status they spontaneously have within the group. So we have natural leaders that will take up the leader role. We have persons that are shy and do not intervene that much, that will not intervene that much. So giving specific roles becomes a way for the teacher to lead this participation of each member of the group. So you will have timekeeper, tracker of participation, and each member becomes important for the group and has a specific role. The last aspect we would like to underline is the fact that even though cooperative learning is based on students being the protagonists of the learning process, adult support can be very crucial and important, especially in order to facilitate and ensure equal participation. This means that each time an adult in the class observes that somebody is getting excluded, discriminated, or is experiences some form of marginalization, then it is very important that the teacher immediately intervenes and reacts to that, so that it is really clear that in our inclusive classroom, every voice counts.
Thank you for listening to the podcast of All Means All. In the show notes, there is a link to the chapter in the open textbook. There you can find the transcript of the video and more information on the topic.